Today we are going to talk about how to solve any problem in 5 steps. It is very simple, and we're going to make sure that once you watch this video, no matter which part or which field of life you are in, you can solve that problem very simply and very easily. The process is not going to be very simple, but the steps to do it are going to be very simple. So let's get started. Now, how to solve any problem? Step 1. Name it or stay blind forever. Now I'll tell you this. Until and unless you can't name the problem, until and unless you can't define it properly, it is not a problem, it is an assumption. Don't work based on assumptions, but work based on problems. So you might tell that I'm feeling something, maybe that's bothering me a lot, and that is not a problem, that is an assumption. A problem is something which is bothering you so much that you can't do something else without solving it. And the fact is, half of you disguise assumptions as problems and but don't do the latter. You get what I'm saying? So you need to make sure that you need to identify your problems and not your assumptions. Now, step 2, trace it or follow the trail. Now what does that mean? Now let me give you an example problem. The example problem being hmm, what do we take? Example problem being I cannot dance better. Now I cannot dance better is not a fully proper question. The proper question which can be is what all can I do to dance better? So this you see the significant difference between I cannot dance better and what all can I do to dance better. This is more optimistic. This wants to make you feel better. This wants to give you more opportunities. But you talk about this assumption and then you never look at the problem again, which keeps bothering you until the end. So once you do this, okay, once you define the problem in a correct way, you need to trace the problem. Now assume you're taking the same problem. What all can I do to dance better? Maybe practice every day. Maybe go to a class. Compare with previous versions of yourself. So you get what I'm saying? So this is step 1, this is step 2, this is step 3. So you have a solid plan here. Rather you telling that I cannot dance better. No, I just cannot dance better, man. I don't know what to do. If you do this and if you make a systematic review of this, it is very simple and very easier to become better at anything. Now once you finish step 1 and step 2, which is step 1 and this is step 2, step 3, cut it open or dissect it. Now what does this mean? Now once you've solidly written your step 1 and step 2, you need to make sure that even your practice or even your go to a class or even your compare the previous versions, all of them are being fulfilled completely. Now what does that mean? Now practice. Instead of just vaguely telling that I'm going to practice today, tell for example the same example. At 6 o'clock I'm going to practice for 30 minutes on these songs, on these certain songs. So you see how detailed you're getting here. You're making sure that you're telling the time, you're telling the place, you're telling what you're doing, how you're doing, and why you're doing it, and why should you do it. So all of your questions are being answered, and your subconscious does not have any option but to answer them, but to take action. Okay. So if you make sure that step 1, what do? You define the problem properly. Step 2, you trace it and follow the trail. Step 3, you dissect it and cut it open so that you can keep a proper schedule in your mind which tells that okay, this is what I'm going to do no matter what is going to happen. Now 1, burn or be burnt. This is where the hardest part of this whole thing comes. The hardest part of anything, to be honest, when you're solving a problem or when you're doing something else. Burn or be burnt. What does that mean? Here, all these three things which are there, which we are making sure in an example scenario, or let it be in some other scenario, you have made sure there are many points. Now this is where it gets tricky. You want to make sure to do every single thing. and you want to be a perfectionist. You want to make sure that you are doing 6 o'clock on dot. If you're starting at 6:05, you think that it's a waste. We make sure that, okay, let me do it at 6:05, so that means I'm useless. I didn't do it at 6. That 5 minutes gap which I've taken is not good for me, and because of that, my whole schedule is gone. Yeah, you get what I'm saying, right? Let us assume there are 5 days. One, two, three, 4, and 5. You are going to be consistent every single day. That is for sure. Consistency is key. But your frequency of consistency should also matter. Now, that doesn't mean I do it for 5 days and then at the sixth day, I just tell that, you know what, let me not do it today. It doesn't work that way, right? So, you need to make sure that every single day, no matter if whatever you're doing, it might be little or it might be more. Maybe one day all you got to do was practice. Maybe you didn't go to the class. So you need to make sure that this might be 5%, this might be 6%, and this might be 100%. So the fact you have to make sure that is you should not get burnt out by this whole schedule. You need to make sure that you evolve yourself to an extent where you can do whatever is supposed to be done so that you can get better at the skill. And now the last and final step, strike precisely. Now, once you have done all this, now once you have done Now, step 5, strike precisely. Now, once you have done all this, we all know that our schedule right now does not match anything to the problem which we have done, because we are first time understanding what our problem itself is and making sure that we can act accordingly. So that means your schedule is not built for solving these problems. So what do you need to do? You need to strike precisely. You need to make sure that you can cut your life into small parts. I mean, not cut your life, but divide them into small parts and make sure that you can keep proper solutions for every single part so that it is helping your goal. Like this, you can make sure that, let it be other problems, many different problems. All you have to do is do step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, and then step 5, which is basically making sure that your timetable is very precise so that you can make sure that whatever you are doing is not being wasted, but being very much is not being wasted. Whatever you're doing is not being wasted, but is rather being valuable. So this is how you solve any problem in a simple way. All it takes is a paper and a pen and your mind, which is not very hard to get, I presume. So that's all for today. Thank you. Please make sure that you define your problems in a proper way. This is the most important part. If you don't define anything, it's not gonna work, bro. Okay. Thank you.